So in this video we are going to try to explain why for the retro gaming it is better to play on a CRT TV, cathode ray tube, rather than on a LCD monitor, flat screen, or even on a CRT PC monitor. So I will present the different points that explain this. This is my understanding of the thing. I don't say I understood everything perfectly, but at least I think I got the main points. So basically what is important to know, this is the base, this is the fact that the retro gaming were games with very low resolution, typically 300 by 200. This is very low resolution compared to let's say a full HD screen. Let's say that the window of this video is a full HD screen, then 300 to 200 would be something like this. You see, something like this. So very, very small. And that's the problem, because if you want to watch it on a big screen, so put it on a full screen or on a big window, typically 21-inch like the CRT TV behind. So when you do this, display a low resolution game on a big surface, then on an LCD monitor the image appears completely pixelized. You see all the defects, and this pixelized aspect is very, very bad. The game just looks awful. This is not the case on a CRT TV. On a CRT TV you can apply a low resolution game on the whole screen and the image stays beautiful. So why? So let's go through the different points that explain this. So the first point is the fact that on a CRT TV the pixels, or more precisely the phosphors, because each pixel is made of 3 phosphors, this is what we call a triad of phosphor. The phosphors are bleeding. That means that the phosphors doesn't render like a nice square or a nice rectangle with precise contours, but it renders more like a kind of spot, a spot which is bright at the center and fade off at the edges. So we are going to illustrate this by approaching the camera close to the TV behind. So here we are in front of my my CRT TV, which is connected with the PC in a very low resolution, 320 by 224, which is the resolution of the Mega Drive. So very low resolution. That's why everything seems to be very big, but it's very big, but it's very, very clear. This is because of my optimized connection. I use the UMSA, which allow not using the TV out and thus having a better image quality with no degradation in the colors. So I have built this bitmap image. You don't see very well because there is a reflection of the screen behind, but in fact there are four lines. Of each line is made only of 1 pixel of height. There is a red line, a green line, a blue line, and a white line. Okay, and in the middle of the lines I have increased the brightness of the colors. So the lines are always only 1 pixel, even in the middle where the brightness is increased. So we are going to see what's happening in this region where the brightness is changing by approaching the TV. So here we are to illustrate this bleeding effect of the CRT phosphors. So as a reminder, there are 3 lines which are made of only 1 pixel on the logical image, only 1 pixel. So one line of 1 pixel for the red, one line of 1 pixel for the green, the same for the blue, and the same for the white. So we can see that the white is made of, in fact, of 3 colors, but that's not the main point. So the main point is to see that when the color, the brightness is getting higher, so in the very center of the screen, then the spot is getting higher. You can see that it's not a precise rectangle anywhere. The pixels, the phosphors, don't give a precise rectangle or square, but a kind of spot that is spread in the vertical direction. This is also due to the fact that I use a trinitron CRT, but anyway, it's a kind of spot, and you can see on the reds in the center the nice saturation of brightness in the very center of the 3 red spots at the middle. And you can see also that the reds are more bleeding than the other colors. The spot is bigger. This is also visible in the white line at the bottom. You can see that the red has a bigger height than the green, and even than the blue. The blue is the color that bleeds the less. So now the same thing, but on my LCD flat screen. So you can see that on the LCD there is much less bleeding. The pixels are all about the same size. Maybe a little difference at the center, but very small compared to the amount of bleeding you have on a CRT. So the consequence of this bleeding of the pixel is that you will have a kind of big variety of pixels, which are all displayed in different size and with some kind of smooth contours, and this will prevent from having a too regular and pixelized aspect of the image. So what's happening on the CRT PC monitor? So I don't know, because I didn't go to see if the same kind of thing happened, but I guess it's much less than on a CRT TV, because on a CRT PC monitor everything is very focused, and I think that the phosphor are much less bleeding, because this is very important for doing some text edition. You have everything to be more precise, more focused. So I guess the pixels are not bleeding so much, even maybe not bleeding at all, and look much more like a LCD rendering. So now let's have a look at the second point. So the second point concerns the analog behavior of the CRT TV. A LCD monitor is a digital device, while a CRT TV or a CRT monitor also is an analog device. So that means that there is an electron gun inside that throws some electrons. So this is called an electron beam, and what's happening is that the electrons are illuminated some phosphors on the screen. So there is a fixed number of phosphor on the screen, and what's happening is that it doesn't work like this. The electrons throw a beam, the gun throw a beam of electron on this phosphor, and then it throw a beam of electron of this phosphor, and then throw a beam of electron on the third phosphor. It doesn't work like this. It's a continuous flow of electrons while it is scanning the screen. While the beam is scanning the screen, it is sending a continuous flow of electrons. Then the electron pass through the holes of the shadow mask, and behind there are the phosphors that are illuminated. So what it's important and is the analog behavior is that it's a continuous flow of electrons. So what's happening during a change of logical pixel. When I'm talking about logical pixel, I'm talking about the pixel of the original image. Okay, so the 300 by 200 pixels. So what's happening when a logical pixel is changing? So let's say from one color to the other color. So the electron beam sends some electron corresponding to the color of the first logical pixels, and then it will send some electron to at one moment it will send some electron change and send some electron corresponding to the color of the second logical pixel. But the transition, during the transition between the two, as it is analog, it is not like a break. It is progressive. The electron will change from one color to the other one in a progressive way. So during this way, there can be a kind of mixing of different colors. Okay, so that's the first point. And the second point is that the electron beam is not very focused on a CRT screen. It has a width. It is spread, and so this width. Let's say that this is the width of the beam. So the beam is scanning like this, sending some electron from the color of the first logical pixel, and then it is changing to the other logical pixel, to the second one. Okay, but there is a time during the transition where the two colors are overlapping because of this size. Okay, so this overlapping makes a mixing of the two colors, and so instead of having one color and then suddenly the other one, you will have on the phosphors, you will have some phosphors illuminated by the first color, then some phosphor illuminated by the mixing when it overlaps of the two colors, and then some phosphors illuminating by the color of the second logical pixel. So this is a nice and smooth transition. It's a little bit like a kind of natural upscalers. It provides some new pixels compared to the original low resolution logical pixels, native resolution. So this point is very important, and we are going to illustrate it on the screen behind, and I hope it will be a little bit more clear for you. So to illustrate this point about the analog behavior of the TV, I have built a bitmap, so an image with Paint software. So it's very simple. These are two rectangles, one on the left which is blue and one on the right which is green. So this image has an horizontal resolution of 320 pixels, and this is very easy. The 160 first left pixels are blue and the 160 right left pixels are green. So the transition should be perfectly defined. There is no, in my bitmap image, there is no melting between the green and the blue. There are the blue pixel and then suddenly the green pixels. And now we are going to see, by approaching the camera, what is happening at the region of the transition. So now if with the camera we focus on the region where the transition between the blue and the red, the blue and the green occur, we can see that the transition is not perfectly defined. I mean that there is some a little of the blue color that is going too much on the right part, and also a little of the red color that is going too much on the left part. So the transition is not perfect, and there is a kind of mixing, of melting between the two colors that you can see on the, and here it happens on the two columns of phosphors. So this progressive transition is completely due to the analog behavior of the CRT TV. And this is one big reason why it looks good. Low resolution games looks good on CRT TV, because all the changes between the pixels, between the colors, are softened by this effect. So now I'm going to show some more defined objects. For example, I take the cursor of window, which is the little arrow. Okay, so here it is, the little arrow of window. So you can see there that there is also the red, because the arrow is white, and so in order to make the white, you have to use the three colors, RGB, red, green, and blue. So this is triad of phosphor, in fact. So when looking by far away, you have the impression that it's white. So look at the edges of the arrow. And you can see here again that the edges are completely with a smooth transition. You can see some phosphors, let's say on the left, some blue and red phosphors that are only slightly illuminated. So I guess it is exactly the same thing that I just showed before for the transition between red and blue. Here you have some phosphor that that doesn't stop very brief, but that goes to slightly to another phosphor before disappearing. So all the rounding of this arrow, all the edge of the arrow, you can see that they are very smooth. So now you can imagine that instead of the arrow, you have the sprite, let's say the head of Mike Hagar in Final Fight, and the head of Mike Hagar will be very smooth around like this, and will be displayed in a very beautiful, a very nice way on a CRT TV. So that was the second point, which I remind is certainly the most important. So what's happening on the CRT PC monitor? I didn't go and put my camera to see what's happening, but I guess things are a little bit different than on the CRT TV. Why? It's true that the CRT PC monitor is also analog. It has exactly the same behavior than the TV with an electron beam, but in fact the things are much more focused inside than a TV. So the size of the electron beam is much more focused. So I guess there is much less overlapping. And let's imagine that there can be some overlapping if it happens on a few phosphors, like on the TV, let's say 1 or 2 phosphors, where the color are mixing and overlapping. It will happen then only on a very small scale, because on a monitor, on a PC CRT monitor, the phosphors are much more numerous than on the CRT TV, and so they are very close one to each other. So if there is a mixing of the phosphors on a few phosphors, it will happen on a very small scale, maybe, I don't know, some micrometers, while on the TV, because of the phosphors are bigger and more separated, it happens on larger scale, maybe a few millimeters, something like this, or 1 millimeter. So larger scale is not negligible. You can see it when you play. You cannot really see it, but it has an impact of the global image while on the CRT PC monitor, very small scale micrometer is completely negligible. And finally, it tends to have a rendering which is quite similar to the LCD monitor, which has no mixing of colors at all. Now let's talk about the third point. The third point concerns the native resolution of the game and, as a consequence, the appearance of the scanlines. So the native resolution is the resolution of the original image, so the logical pixels. You can run the game in its native resolution on the CRT TV. If you don't, if you run it in another resolution, let's say, for example, a higher resolution like a PAL or NTSC resolution, which are about 700 by 500, then you are not in native resolution. And it's problematic because the image will be rescaled to the new resolution. And this rescaling will have the bad effect to blur the image. Okay? The only way that the image will not be blurred if the new resolution is exactly a multiple of the original resolution. But if it's not a multiple, then the image will be blurred. So this is bad, and this is generally what's happening when you are using a TV out from the graphic card to the PC, because the TV out is limited to high resolutions, such as NTSC or PAL resolution. So you will have your image rescaled and as a consequence blurred. But if you use a nice connectic, like I do on the PC, and I will describe it in another video, then you can run it in its native resolution. So the other point is the appearance of the scanlines, the creation of the scanlines thanks to this native resolution. So let's explain how the CRT TV works. There are two modes for the CRT TV to display an image, either in progressive rendering or in interlaced. These are the two modes, progressive or interlaced. In the both mode, when the CRT scans a line and arrives to the end of the line, then it jump not to the next line, but it skip a line and go to the one after. Then scan it again, and then it skip a line again and go to the one just after. Okay, so it works like this. But the difference between the progressive and the interlace is that when it arrives at the bottom of the screen and then go again at the upper part, then on the progressive display, it doesn't go to the same line that is started during the first scan, but it just shifts from one line. Sorry, in the progressive it goes again to the same line. So in progressive, only the even lines are illuminated. Even lines in the first scan, and then again even lines. In the interlaced resolution, it doesn't work the same. This is the even line for the first scan, and then when it goes again to the upper part, this is the odd lines. Okay, it just shifts by one line down, and then the odd lines are illuminated, and when it finishes it go again, and then again the even line, and then the odd lines. So in interlaced mode, this is alternatively all the even line and then the odd lines that are illuminated. So it does, and with a very high frequency, so finally it does something like this. Oh, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, and you see that it does like this. This is what is called interlaced. Okay, so finally all the lines are illuminated, and this is why you can get some rather high resolution for CRT. While in progressive mode, as I said, it is only the even lines that are illuminated. So even lines then in the second scan, even line again, then even line again, even line. So always the even, never the odd lines. So the odd lines are never illuminated, and this is what make appear what we call the scan lines, these little horizontal black bars that are in fact the odd line that are never illuminated. So this is how it works. So the scan lines are nice, first because it is the way that the games were rendered during the 80s and the 90s, because as it is low resolution, it works in progressive. Because yes, I didn't say this, but the progressive is restricted to the resolution that are low, typically that are below 300 lines in vertical. And when the resolution is higher than 300 lines in vertical, then the CRT TV has to display in interlast. So progressive for low resolution and interlast for higher resolution. So as the old games were all small resolution, low resolution, they were all displayed in progressive. So they all displayed some scan lines. So let's have a look on the CRT TV with the camera.
Okay, so now I'm going to describe the scanline effect, which happens when you can run the games in their native resolution, so progressive resolution. So here we have the camera near the screen, and it is the resolution is 640 by 480 I. So I like interlast. So this is not yet the progressive resolution on which the game must play. In fact, this resolution, interlast, is the lowest resolution that you can get when using the S-video, the TV output of your graphic card. So that's why with the TV out, you cannot get the native resolution, which is lower than this. You are limited to this resolution. So you are limited to play in interlast. And you can see here that you cannot see any scan lines. You cannot see some vertical black lines. Here you can see you cannot see some horizontal black lines. Here you can see some vertical black lines, but they are only due because this is the green portion of the screen. So only the green phosphor are illuminated, and the blue and red one are not. So this finally make appear some kind of black or black vertical lines, but that's not the point. The point is that you cannot see any black horizontal lines. Okay, so that means that all the lines of the TV are illuminated. So now we are going to change the resolution. So let me show you that I am. So these are all the resolution I can choose. Okay, so you can see I was in this resolution, and it is not written, but it is interlast, because at this kind of resolution it's impossible for a CRT TV to do some progressive. This is a too high resolution for progressive for this kind of TV. So now let's change the resolution, and let's take some progressive one with 320 by 224. So this is the resolution of the Sega Mega Drive Genesis. So here it comes. Here it is, 320 by 224. And it is not written, but this is progressive, P. So I push on it, and here the scan lines appear. You can see that there are some black horizontal lines. Some lines are not illuminated anymore. This is because of the progressive aspect of the image. So I explain when the electron beam goes through all the even lines, and when it finish going through the screen, then it goes again at the upper part of the screen, and instead of going and illuminate the odd lines, it eliminates again the same even lines. So only the even lines are eliminated, never the odd lines. So this is why all the odd lines are always black. So this is the scanlines. And this is more evident here on this image when looking at the blue above, because the blue there are also the blue and red phosphors that are slightly eliminated. So the vertical black columns are less visible, and also on the white, on the upper left part, where you can really see nice scan lines. So here we have a native game. This is not a game, but it is a resolution like a native Genesis resolution with scan lines.
What about the scanline on a LCD monitor or a CRT PC monitor? Well, there is no scanline, because how this monitor behaves, it cannot render scanlines, because this monitor just scans the line, and when it is at the end of the line, it doesn't skip the next line but goes to the following lines. So you never have this skipping of line, so you cannot have these lines not illuminated. All the lines are always illuminated. Okay, so for having these scan lines, you have to play on a 15 kHz monitor or TV, 15 kHz TV. This TV works in 15 kHz. You can, of course, use some software emulation of scan lines. For example, the filter HLSL do some emulation of the scan lines, or you can buy a little box, a hardware box, which is called Scanline Generator 3000. Okay, so this is a way to display the scan lines on either LCD or CRT PC monitor if you really don't want to play on a TV. So now let's go to the next point, the fourth point, which is also the last one. So there will be no example on the screen with this point, because it's something more subjective. In fact, I'm not so sure about it, but it's simply the fact that the colors are more beautiful on a CRT TV than on a LCD. In fact, the colors are like very vivid, you know, vivid, very I don't know the adjectives, but vivid is nice on a CRT TV. So maybe it is due to the fact that there are some phosphors that give this kind of light, or maybe because of the glass of the screen that gives some glossy image. Yes, it's kind of glossy image and vivid, which I cannot find when I'm looking at the Retrogaming on the LCD. So that was the last point. Let's summarize the 4 points. First one was the phosphor bleeding. Second one is the analog behavior on the CRT, and as a consequence the melting of the colors horizontally. Fourth point was the native resolution, and as a consequence the scan lines. And fourth point was the vivid colors. So I hope that you found this video interesting, that it was not too confused. It's not easy to speak in English. I strongly suggest you to buy a CRT TV if you really like the retro gaming. I mean, the retro gaming, and especially the arcade games, were made in order to be beautiful, because they relied on their nice graphics. So it is a pity to play such kind of games. Okay, maybe if you play Tetris, you can play on your on your LCD monitor, but it's a pity if it's other kinds of games that rely on the graphics. So just go and buy some nice CRT TV and put a PC with good connection in it. So I hope you liked the video. See you.